Play the Sports, and I am here with Cleveland Kate. Cleveland Kate, how are you doing today? What's going on, sis?
Oh, not much, sis. Great game Friday. Bumped
Yeah,
into
I
you at the
know.
Guardians game, and it was a great game.
How about those Guardians, man? That was a long night. I was kind of tired after all that, but it was great seeing you there. Did you ever find French fries?
No,
Oh my God.
I settled for ice cream.
I don't know. Like I love both, so I'm like, ice cream isn't something bad to settle for. I've never had ice cream from there other than Dippin' Dots, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. So I'm sorry that you were not able to find your French fries. I would have thought that you would have been able to, which is really weird. Did you go up to the third level or anything?
No, I didn't walk around too much. And the only problem with the ice cream is it was melting. So, like, I took one back for
Okay.
me and one for my husband, and then I had to keep licking both of them. So it was
hmm
messy. It's,
yeah. So the weather today.
I'm just saying, to anyone listening who does food service at the Guardians game, those Build-A-Burgers are nice, but when they say they're out of French fries and three-quarters of the people in line leave, it tells you need to have more French fry stands.
Yeah. Because
Because I couldn't find any other ones on the first floor.
French
So,
fries are one of my favorite
did you
foods.
get your pizza?
I did get my pizza. I did. What I didn't realize was that on the other side of the pizza stand is the same pizza stand, except for it's express. So you can grab and go. You don't have to stand there and make it and watch them
Oh
make it and
yeah, if you
stuff
just
like
want
that.
like pepperoni or cheese or something simple.
So I didn't know like that's literally life changing for me instead of having to wait in those lines because normally when nobody's at the game you don't have to wait in line for nothing. It takes all of 2 seconds, but that's the gift and the curse. You want people there, but when they are there you can't find anything you need. They're out of French fries. It takes forever to stand in line for pizza.
Yep,
So I'm just like, this is a gift and curse. You want people to come to these games and see this
exactly.
team, but when it comes to minor inconveniences like that, you got to put up with that. So, I'm
Sports
just
girl
like,
problems, right?
yeah, I'm like, oh man. But how's everything going? How was your weekend outside of the game?
It was good. Saturday was beautiful. Went to the our neighbor's grandson's graduation party, and then Sunday did a little bit of yard work in the morning before the rain came. I'm gonna tell you, that rain we got Sunday is like my favorite kind of rain when it has been dry for like a week or 10 days, and when you get those thunderstorms that we get, the water just hits it and rolls off, and then you get flooding and all of that. And that rain Sunday was just nice and gentle for hours and hours and hours before it really got rolling. So like my grass got watered, my flowers all look nice. I like a little bit of rain. Now it's supposed to be cold and cloudy and crappy till like Thursday. This is a time of year where I struggle with my seasonal affective disorder,
hmm
where it's so gross and gray and cold on the weekdays, but then you want it to be nice on the weekends, right? If you're off work, if you work a Monday to Friday job, you want the weekends to be nice, but then I struggle all week with I had to get my long sleeve shirts out of storage today because I
Really?
I put them away. I'm like, that's it. I'm putting them away. I wear sandals. Once we get to May, I wear sandals every day. I have a serious problem with socks. So I had sandals on today and a long sleeve shirt in my hoodie with the little thumb holes
hmm
so that I could stay warm. It's June. It shouldn't be 50 degrees in June.
I know. And that's one of the things is like that nice little gentle rain ushered in a torrential downpour while I
Yeah.
was
So what'd you
driving
do?
like
What'd you do
40
the
on the
rest of the
highway.
weekend? Saw you at the Guardians game Friday.
Yeah, Saturday the same thing, and then yesterday the same thing. But after the game, I went to this restaurant called Jade downtown on Old River Road and had so originally the plan was go to the game, then go see Little Mermaid. But when we got there, we didn't get the tickets in advance. So what happened was the tickets that were left were the first row, and my friends didn't want to do that. So we was like, okay, let's see if the restaurant we can change our reservation to the restaurant, eat first, and then come back and see the Little Mermaid. So we ended up going because we was like a fish theme, a sushi theme, water theme that day. So with it raining, we hadn't accounted for that, but so
So
we
you
decided.
ate fish and then went to see the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, exactly. So I
And you
had
don't
me
think
some.
there's nothing wrong with that?
No, yeah, it was a fish themed Sunday.
What'd you think of the movie?
So first of all, The Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney movie of all time. And I always
Really?
cry at the end. And I was crying at the end of the movie theater yesterday. My friend's like holding those tears. I'm like, I can't. I am not ashamed. I'm sorry. I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything like that. But at the very end of The Little Mermaid, everybody pretty much knows she does get the prince, and everybody knows that already. And
Spoilers.
well, everybody knows that though. That's the part
So
that they know.
the casting with this was very different. I struggled with Melissa McCarthy as Ursula the Sea Witch.
Really?
Did she do it justice? Was she okay? Because, like, for me, the voice of Sebastian, right, and Ursula are two of the characters in that movie that as soon as you hear their voice, you know who that is. You know who that character is. They own those characters. And so I thought I might have a little wiggle room with Sebastian, but I wasn't sure how I would do with someone playing Ursula.
Well, Scuttle is the one, the bird. So, they do sound different than the movie. So I think that Melissa McCarthy did a good Ursula. I think she did a great Ursula. Okay. Scuttle's voice was different, the bird. So I was a little shocked by that. Sebastian was pretty much the same, and Flounder was pretty much the same. So, different casting, diverse casting. This is a live action remake. So pretty much it stayed on cue. There were some additional songs that were not in the original Mermaid. So that was a little different. And there were additional scenes that wasn't present, but I thought that it all filled in for the final story. And, I thought it was good fill-ins and stuff, because I'm thinking it's going to be exactly like the cartoon, but it wasn't. And I'm okay with that. I was good with that. And, the thing that saddened me, at the end of the Little Mermaid, prior, the cartoon one is, at the very end when King Triton's like, ready to release her. And that's when the waterworks start, because Sebastian's like, well, you gotta, I'm saying? Sebastian's like, well, you gotta let them live. And, King Triton's like, okay. And then, all the Little Mermaids waving goodbye. Like, I'm like, she's never gonna be a mermaid ever again. Oh my God. Like, yeah. So it was like everything to do. I let the tears roll down instead of just full out sobbing like I can do. So I love The Little Mermaid. I recommend that everybody goes and see it. It's my favorite Disney movie of all time. So I recommend
buy your tickets ahead of time, right? Don't wait.
Yeah, buy your tickets ahead of time because it will sell out and you will be stuck, in that first row. So if you don't want to be stuck in the first row, I highly suggest you get your tickets.
Watching the movie on the ceiling.
Yeah, especially if it's a smaller especially if it's a smaller theater. And something told me to get the tickets in advance, which I did not. And I was supposed to get the tickets in advance. I told my friend, I'm like, I'm going to get our tickets. And then I was at my nephew's baseball game and I got off the phone and I completely forgot and went back to watching my nephew's baseball game. So yeah, I highly recommend. But that's almost now for all movies, getting those tickets in advance because, movie theaters are smaller than what they used to be because they take all the seats out now and, have those bigger seats. So, things have changed, but I'm like,
how was your nephew's baseball game? Did they win?
No, they lost. Unfortunately, they lost.
What position does he play?
They rotate. So he started off in the outfield, then he played third base. So they're not playing the whole position the whole time. He was able to get a double. He drove a couple of runs in. So, he's only 9 years old. So, we're at the very beginning stages. And, one issue I had, and I don't know if my sister and brother-in-law is listening to me, but I let them know, is that they went and talked to him during the game in the dugout. And I'm like, you can't do that. I'm like, you cannot be those parents. And he got out at home plate. And my sister went to go talk to him because she was like, he might feel bad.
Oh, you can't be that parent. You can't be that parent.
He feels bad that he got out. And Kate, I had to let him know, like, you cannot be that parent. I'm like, this is about winning and losing. This is baseball. He's going to get out.
Drop him off and stay out the way until he's ready to leave. You let his coaches handle. If he is upset, that's what coaches are for. They will talk to him. They will deal with it. Those are opportunities as a parent to see what the coach's style is like and how he deals with different things. And when they're 9, if you're not happy with the way the coach is dealing with things, then maybe you find another team. When they get older, you have to also keep an eye on coaches. I went to a seminar at Brown Stadium a few years ago for moms of football players to learn how to assess injuries, because you have to be the advocate for your child. And there were a lot of guys, a lot of young men who were having brain injuries and getting hurt, and they want to go back in, and the coaches are letting them back in. And they were kind of teaching the moms what signs to look for and how to make sure that your kid's okay, because you got to be an advocate for them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all fine when they're in high school and in that age range. But when they're 9 and just starting to get exposed to sports and stuff, parents need to just sit back, let the coaches coach. And then if
Mm-hmm.
you have an issue with their coaching style or something like that, then that's an opportunity to have side conversations. But girl, you can't be running down to the dugout because your little baby's crying because he got out at third.
Yeah, it wasn't even an issue with the coaching style, and that's the thing. He
No, because now all his friends are going to be like, "Oh, is your mom coming down here again?" Every time something happens, his friends are going to be like, he's the one whose mom's going to come running down here every time he gets out."
yeah, and I'm like, if he was a little older, it could have been a play at the plate, but they only 9. You know what I'm saying? So he can't knock the other
Yeah.
kid over. But I'm like, he's gonna get out. It's gonna happen. He's gonna strike out. These are things that happen. I was like, all the baseball players now you see in the major leagues, they started off just like this. It's gonna be okay. And those players will tell you that they've struck out more times than they hit the ball. They've been out more times than they've actually, been able to, advance to another
Yep.
base. So, I just was like, you cannot be those parents. Please don't do that. Please don't be those parents. Please just let him get through this game. Because when I was coaching field hockey and lacrosse, we had to tell the players, tell your parents they cannot come talk to you during the game. Like, you're in the middle of a game right now. So, sports are different. I don't know what it's like now because I haven't coached since 2015. So I've been out the game almost 10 years at this point. Man, that time has blown by. But I'm wondering how much has it changed with the advent of helicopter parents and people hovering over their kids. And my kid, I don't want them reading this book, so that means the whole school district can't read this book. Moms for Liberty or Planned Parenthood, as they like to call them. Those types of things. But
Yeah. Did your dad come to your games? Was he one of those parents, or did he just let you do you?
no, they didn't really come to the games because they had to work, unfortunately. So, my senior year, I was walked across the stage. Not the stage, but on senior day, I had to be walked by another parent or whatever. So,
Oh.
I'm
I mean,
hoping to.
that's tough for those kind of
Mhm.
things. Um, but then at the same time, you didn't have to worry about him running out on the field or screaming and
No,
yelling at him. I mean,
no.
there's a balance there somewhere, right?
Yeah, like there was a couple times they had to pick me up off the ground, but that was because we lost state titles. So I consider that to be a completely different thing. And they waited until the game was over to do that. Come lift me up then, because
Yep.
I'm only 15 playing in a state championship game.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. But yeah, no. So unfortunately they lost, but so far he likes baseball. He plays basketball as well. So he's just getting introduced to sports, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited to be that aunt. And then my niece, who I didn't know until just Saturday, my sister told me that she did discus and shot put during track season, which I didn't even know. And I'm like, if you're not telling us about these games, they're going to think that we don't want to come and we're not coming.
Right.
So I'm like,
Right.
you need to let us know in advance so we can figure something out so we can be
Yep.
there, for them. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, it is what it is. But did
Definitely.
you have a good weekend too?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Not a lot of sports. Watch some sports. Watch a little basketball. Got all fired up about the Guardians on Friday nights, and I was watching the game Saturday. Didn't go Sunday. Had tickets. My sister-in-law went Sunday, and we decided not to go, which is fine because it ended up raining anyway. But I Friday was super exciting. It was super frustrating. It was Guardians baseball, right?
mm-hmm.
You get up, you get down, you get up, you get down early, and I guess we'll talk more about that after the break. They can't be giving up these runs so early in the games and then
Mm-hmm.
trying to have to come back from that.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about that as soon as we come back. So we're going to talk some Guardians baseball. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Hey, George.
All right. Welcome back to Her and the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. And you can always make sure you keep it locked here on your regular radio dial at 95.9 FM. You can listen online at WOVU.org. You can also download that WOVU app so you can take us with you on the go. And then also you can contact the station at any time with your questions, comments, concerns at 216-271-0959. I am here with Cleveland Kate, and we were just talking about our weekend. We were talking about rain. We were talking about the weather. We were talking about helicopter appearance. We were talking about a little bit of everything. But now we're actually going to get into sports. So we're going to talk about that Cleveland Guardians. And I just happened to be walking on Friday in the at I want to call it
Concourse.
Progressive Field. So Jake, I was walking around Progressive Field, and I don't know where I was. Oh, I was going to go get a pizza. And all of a sudden, I just saw a little bit of purple hair, and I was like, "Is that Kate?" I don't think it's Kate. I want to run up on her, but I don't, want to do that because I don't want to get karate chopped in my face. So I screamed, and it turned out to be Kate. So I was so excited to see her at the game, and it was actually Pride Night. So one of the things that I'm actually really surprised is that there wasn't a stink put up by anything, any entity, any players about that. Where you heard about it in certain cities in which players have been like, it's against my religious beliefs. I don't believe in that. Blah 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 blah. And it's okay for you to not believe in that, and that's absolutely fine. But if it's against your religious beliefs, are I guess what people would say, and not to go down a rabbit hole, is to love everyone. So I look at it as loving everyone. That's what Pride Night is all about: is being inclusive and not being exclusive. So I'm kind of glad that there was no stinks put up about it, and everybody seemed to have a good time. They had over 31,000 people there, so that is one of the highest actual attendance totals that they had. I think opening day and maybe the New York Yankees, I think they had a really good crowd one time with the Angels, probably with Shohei Ohtani being in town, and then Pride Night. So I was really, also they had a t-shirt giveaway. They had dollar dogs and they had fireworks. So that brought out a lot of people on Friday night. And like we talked about, you couldn't find French fries. And, I discovered that, there's an additional way to get my favorite pizza in the at Progressive Field. But that night was a night that the Cleveland Guardians got in the hole early. Logan Allen, was up there pitching, and he got in the hole early. They went up 3-1, and this was like in 3-0, and this was like in the first inning. So literally you watch, and now we're talking about the World Series champions as well, Houston Astros. And I still think it's funny how they boo Jose Altuve. I don't know if they're ever going to stop, but I think it's hilarious when they do it. But you watch this team, you watch Houston build up a lead, and every time you watch the Guardians continue to chip away at that lead. And they'd only go up by one. They went up by three initially, and then you watch the Guardians chip away every inning to be able to come back. And Jose went crazy hitting. That was the 3 home run night, right? Was that Pride night?
Yeah, it's frustrating because you get to extra innings and then you give up one in the top of the inning and then you got to get one just to keep it going. So we gave up one game, like a couple innings in a row.
It was a tennis match.
Yeah. So that was frustrating. I love when they boo Altuve. Him and Abreu, there's a couple of them on that team. What made me laugh is
were they booing Abreu though?
Huh?
Were they booing Abreu though?
Yes.
Okay.
Not as bad as they were booing Altuve.
Yeah. Okay.
When I was on my way back with my ice cream, so in the concourse, you can hear Tom Hamilton calling the game. You can hear that. And I heard him talking about how, for the last 6 years, the Astros have made it to the AL championship game. And then how many years they went to the World Series and won the World. And he's like, they must be doing something right. But the way he said it, you knew he was taking a dig at them for cheating because we all know they're cheaters. So it's funny to hear Tom Hamilton, be a little, not impartial when he's doing that. I was excited to see how well they played against a really good team. The Astros are, whether we like it or not, a really good team. And for the Guardians to get up to over 30 wins now, right? They're with 31 and something, I think. To catch up like that, to see the batting averages for the team as a whole, how much better they are these last few days. They're on the road right this week. So we got late games this week. Yep. I don't know if I'll be able to stay up. Like tonight's game, I think first pitch is at like 9:30 or something. So it's going to be hard for a lot of fans to stay up and watch the next few. But like we've got Oakland next week, and Oakland's trash. So I'm looking forward to those games. It was just nice for them to have a good night, for it to be Pride night. I thought they did a very nice job with the giveaways. There were T-shirts, and then there were beer koozies that had the C emblem on it with the rainbow.
Oh, beer koozies! I didn't know that.
Yeah, at one of the entrances, you got those. There was just a bunch of graphics and stuff, a bunch of groups that were doing some things. Like you, I struggle with people who try to use religion as a way to rip on other people. And so my favorite quote from the Bible is just judge not lest you be judged. It don't bother me at all. You do you, I will do me. If God has a problem with it, he can tell me to my face when I get there what he doesn't like. Life is too short when there are horrible, awful, terrible people out there. Recently, in May, I believe it was in May, right? End of May was the 10-year anniversary of Gina and Amanda Berry and Michelle Wright being found and freed. When there are people who are kidnapping women and doing some of the things that people in this world are doing, I don't know how you have the time and energy to mess with people and who they fall in love with and what they're doing in their own lives. I don't understand that. There are bigger things that we could be worried about. And I just thought Pride Night was held really well. I didn't see any protesters or anything anywhere, which I thought was cool. I missed the Indian protesters. There used to always be a couple of them in that alley between the parking garage and the field. I'm like, oh, that's right. We're the Guardians now. We don't get those Indian folks protesting. But I just thought it was done really well. It was, like I said, I didn't hear anyone in the stands complaining. I didn't see any issues. I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything in the media. Let it go. All of June is Pride Month. If be proud of whoever you are, whether you're part of the LGBT community or not, you can be an ally. It's really, you know what I mean? It's live and let live, people. There are bigger problems in this world.
Cause girl, don't let me pull out this scroll on all the problems that I have going on in my life right now because I'm too busy to worry about anything anybody else is doing.
Right.
But like you said, the Cleveland Guardians and the Cleveland Cavs have always had pride nights as well, and they
Yep.
execute those nights really well. And there has not been any kerfuffle or anything like that from any of the
Yep.
players. So
And if
I'm
it's not,
super excited.
and it's not even like they throw it in your face. If you're not into it, if you have an issue with it, go about your day. There's plenty of, there's plenty of places around the ballpark and all kinds of stuff. I'm not saying it well. You could just ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which people must have done because I didn't hear there was no kerfuffling going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so super excited about that. So we got a comment from George. So George says, that one situation I was talking about with my sister and my brother-in-law. He said, "Let the players play, let the coaches coach, let the umps do their job. Parents watch the game. Simple, isn't it?" Not in today's generation. We want to make sure that there are no hurt feelings involved. So a
Yes.
little bit different, but I think we can train parents as well to let them know.
Yep.
Especially when it gets to higher competition, you got to be quiet. So George says, well, we're going to get to, well, I'll go back to that, George, because we're going to get to the Cleveland Browns in a little bit. But George says Houston imploded in that series against the Wahoos. That other name. Many weird plays, throws, even the umps botched Stephen Kwan and a catch ruled no catch. But it was reversed thanks to replay. By the way, today is a travel day. The series against the Padres start tomorrow. So yeah, super bummed there's no
Thank you,
baseball
George.
on, but there's basketball on. So excited about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, this was the first time that they've won a series against the Houston Astros since 2017. So it's been a while. So
Yeah.
there were some uncharacteristic errors by the Astros that allowed the Guardians to be able to advance on bases. That was a catch that Stephen Kwan had, and you could literally tell it was a catch, but the replay finally figured it out, and that was a game saving catch right there. So that was really important. Hats off to Stephen Kwan. I just love him as a player. I just love his ability to be able to, be one of the best leadoff players in the game. I really think that, he's not a home run hitter, but I really feel like he should get some looks at for All-Star, but I know that he's not. But I just love him in that leadoff position because you pretty much know that he's going to get to base, and you got to have somebody, be able to help him advance. So I'm just a
Yeah.
huge fan of Stephen Kwan with his little self. But yeah, there was a lot of things that the Astros did in this game. But one of the things, and I don't know if you noticed on Friday night, Kate, was they had a lot of mound visits. They're allowed mound visits. They're only allowed 4 when it is a coach that comes out. But outside of that, they're allowed unlimited mound visits. And just some of the defense that the Astros played against us to be able to get us to go into double plays and
Yeah.
actually see them, be in the huddle like this is what we're going to do, and actually come see them execute it was a little bit amazing to me. But this is what good teams are able to do. They're able to get teams out. They're able to, get you to hit into a double play and things like that. So it was just kind of amazing to watch the Astros do that. I'm no Astros fan by any stretch of the imagination, but just to see the chessboard that kind of goes into baseball. A lot of people don't think about, the X's and O's. They think about that a lot when it comes to football and basketball, but not really baseball per se. And it was just kind of
Yeah.
amazing to see how they were able to extend that game as well, keep the Guardians, in a hole, but also see the Guardians be able to chip in and out and be able to go against that pitching. So one of the things that you got to give the Guardians credit for is their scouting reports on the Astros and things like that too. So yesterday, Shane Bieber was kind of unbelievable. On Saturday, Tristan McKenzie came in and stunk it up a little bit. So I figure, because he had 10 strikeouts against the Twins when he came back for his first game, he's getting accustomed to coming back and things
Yeah.
like that. And he didn't have it from the very beginning when he came out there, and you could just tell, he was kind of getting ate up in the
Well, he
first
even
inning
said that
as
in his
well.
presser afterwards. So
Mm-hmm.
Friday was the first game I've been to this year. So it was
Oh,
the
really?
first time I've seen the shot clock,
Okay.
the pitch
Yeah.
clock.
There
I
was
keep
a
calling it
pitch
the shot clock.
violation
The
in this
pitch clock.
series too.
It's just very weird we were sitting on the third base line. So I got the pitcher here and I can see the clock right as he's, going by. That was just sort of weird for me. But what I love that I found out, and one of my favorite players, Josh Naylor, Jose's got 10 home runs. Josh has got 8. and they're both batting 282 right now, which is pretty cool. And I know you are not a Miles Straw fan, but he's batting like 230, 236, somewhere in there. He is not the worst hitter on this team. And usually he is. He's working on his hitting. His defense is so good. We need him in the lineup. We need him to hit it better. Last year was not a good year for him. And I know you were very frustrated with his at the plate performance, but he's stepping up his game this year. Don't just keep an eye on him, give him a little time.
Well, I would say I like Miles Straw defensively. He's a Gold Glover, so I can't take anything away from that. My issue with him, he doesn't hit for power, and that's the thing. But he hits for contact, and he plays small ball, and he's able to advance runners. He's gotten a couple triples. And how about Josh Bell almost hitting for the cycle where he struggled, with
He
his bat
struggled. He
mightily,
struggled Friday night. So
mightily.
he's been up and down, quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at where's my stats. Yeah, he's a single. He's a one base dude, but you need to play small ball. You need to advance the runners. You need to be able to do sacrifices and that kind of stuff. So there's if Tito can manage the order correctly, you don't bat Miles Straw fourth, right? But you could bat him second. You could bat him 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, give you a little oomph at the bottom of the lineup where you don't, where you usually put the rough end of your crew. So there were not enough guys hitting over 200 on Friday night, and there are way more. They've done a nice job the last 3 days of getting on the ball and stuff. So I was real happy to see that.
Yeah,
but I like Josh Naylor. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he and Jose are going to be, neck and neck in average and runs this year. Jose likes to hit multiples. He likes to get them RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got way more RBIs, but that's just a product of where you're at in the lineup. And if Jose hits everybody in, then there ain't nobody left on base to get you your RBIs. So
right. Yeah. Just a good weekend of baseball, super excited for what this team was able to accomplish, and they need series wins like this. They needed to win the series against the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox are not one of the best teams in baseball at all, by far. One of the bottom dwellers of the AL East right now. So, you needed to, and they're the vaunted Boston Red Sox. So you needed to be able to win that series, and that's something that they were able to do. You needed to be able to win this series against the Astros, and slowly but surely, right now they're sitting at 31 and 34 in the AL Central with a winning percentage of 477. They're right there with the Minnesota Twins sitting at 33 and 33, so they're sitting directly at 500. So a couple more wins and they'll be okay. So they'll be right there at the thick of it. So it'll be a race with them and Minnesota to the end. So it'll be very interesting to see who's going to be able to come out this division. But it's about surviving, and advancing once you come out of this division. Is that something that, the Cleveland Guardians can do? Obviously, we're not there yet because we're only a third of the way through the season. But, what has this team showed you right now that proves that, they can advance, out, make it to the ALDS, and see what they're going to be able to do. So I'm not exactly sure if that's going to happen, but, this is what you need this team to do, is you need them to start hitting the bat. How about Will Brennan, coming in for Oscar Gonzalez and, being a pretty good, outfielder and also being able to hit the ball. I guess, Oscar Gonzalez is still struggling down there in AAA, and Zach Plesac is,
we either need them to hit better or we need our pitchers to get through the first 9 players, their first trip through, without giving up a ton of hits. Because that's what we're struggling with. George commented, isn't mound visits set at 6? He'll own up if he's wrong. It's 5.
Yes.
But if you use all 5 before the 9th inning, you get 1 more in the 9th.
Yeah, you get.
And then if there's extra innings, you get 1 per extra inning.
Yeah, so I said
it
unlimited.
Could be 6, but it's technically it's 5. If you've only used 4 through 8, you just get your 5th in the 9th.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and take our break really quick. When we come back, we're going to talk about some NFL. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns.
We're going to talk about NBA playoffs first.
You want to do that first?
I want to make sure we have time because the playoffs will be over by the time we're on again. But football will still be football.
Yes, that's true. It'll probably be over tonight, but we're gonna go ahead and take a break.
No, somebody could blow a 3-1 lead. I've heard that's happened before.
Oh yeah, I said sweep, and I was like, "Well, this is aged really badly." 3 hours later, so all right, we'll be right back. You're listening to Her and Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. Don't play that one. Oh. Fade it out. All right, welcome back to Her and Huddle on WOVU 95.9 again. Excuse me, 95.9 FM. This is your girl Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and we are back. So we are back. This is me and Cleveland Kate, Rachel Hill with Cleveland Kate, and we're going to get into some NBA playoffs before we get into Brown. So I feel like this conversation might kind of be a little bit short. I don't know, Kate. What do you think? You think this combo might be short at all?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, let me start off by asking.
I know because the Nuggets bore you to tears.
Well, I've not really been bored watching this series. And the thing is, one of the things that I have to respect is that the Nuggets are a very good basketball team. So you can be a very good basketball team and be boring. I guess, I guess Nikolai Jokic, he's kind of boring. He's kind of boring of a player.
What I like is the fact that in their 3 wins, so the Denver Nuggets lead the series 3-1. The Heat stole one from them on the road, right? But Denver took care of business in Miami. They're headed back to Denver. In all 3 of their wins, the Denver Nuggets defense kept the Heat under 100 points. And that is not easy to do. And that has been the key to their success all year. And their defense is doing them proud and holding up strong. So I wish them all the best. I hope it's over tonight. I don't think it will be. I feel like Miami might have one in them, one out of desperation. I don't know. I don't know if I believe Miami's the kind of team that plays with emotion or not. I struggle at times to believe that, but we'll see.
Well, I
We'll
think
see.
that they'll be playing with emotion tonight because this would be their second finals loss in 4 years. So, this is a team that's
They can't win
experienced.
without LeBron.
Well, they won
Somebody got to
before
say it.
with D Wade and Shaq. So they won before. That was in 2006. So it's been a while, but they won before. I just unfortunately, in the bubble, they just went up against the healthy AD and LeBron and a Lakers team that was able to run through them really quickly, and ain't much they can do with that. But now Jimmy Butler has that supporting cast, and that's been helping them out. And congratulations to Kevin Love, him and Kate Bach. Kate Love had a baby. I don't know if they had a boy or girl, but that was announced recently. But Jimmy has a good supporting cast, but they just haven't been able to get it done. And like I said, I don't really hate the Nuggets. It's just kind of like watching paint dry. And like I said, I'm rooting for the Nuggets because this would be their first NBA championship. They got some football titles, whatever. But this would be their first NBA championship, and it kind of makes me feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I kind of, it kind of makes me think of us when I think about Denver. You know how you've been around a long time, and not been able to accomplish anything. We had LeBron and we made it to multiple finals, but not being able to win. And then we finally won that first one, and obviously the Denver Nuggets does not have that playoff history like the Cleveland Cavaliers do. But I kind of equate it like that. I'm always rooting for the underdog. I'm like, Miami has a few titles already, so let somebody else win. So I'm rooting for Denver to be able to win. But rooting for like, yeah, go Denver. Da, da, da. No, I'm not like that. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with Denver.
It's more like you hate Miami. I don't know. I will tell you, I read 6 different articles about Kevin Love and his wife Kate having a baby, and not one of them said if it was a boy or a girl.
Okay.
Apparently, they're keeping that a secret. No name, no gender, no nothing. All right, Kevin Love. It wasn't
who
me.
You rooting for?
It's a different Kate, not this Kate.
Who you rooting for?
Denver.
Okay.
Just because I don't like Miami. I don't like Miami. I don't like Boston. I don't like any of the other teams that were in there. I feel nothing for Denver. So I'm like, you know what? Win. Enjoy. Yeah.
My sister is here, so she heard everything I said about them not being able to go to.
Is she there in studio?
Huh?
Is she in studio?
No, she ain't in studio. There's a power appliance. There's no comment there, but my sister, that's my sister. So you can't go out and support Power Appliance on Ravenna Road in Twinsburg. They have a ton of appliances there, so I've got to go get my microwave from there probably tomorrow. But make sure you support your local business owners, and they're in Twinsburg, so right off of Ravenna Road. So make sure you go there if you do need some appliances. So George also says, did the Heat win 2 championships with LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh? They did win 2 titles. So they beat the San Antonio Spurs both times, I believe, when they won their titles. So yeah. They didn't win back to back though, did they? Or
no.
Okay. Yeah, so they have 2 titles, but they also have the one with D Wade and Shaq. So do they have any more titles outside of that?
They did win back-to-backs, 12 and 13. Because LeBron's got 12, 13, and then 16 was here with us. And then 2020. Why George making me look stuff up? George, you know when I got time for this. I just want to talk about the stuff I know. I don't want to. The D Wade era. All right. Anyway.
What were we looking up to see if the Heat has more titles?
They got 4. You talk about, I don't know. Championship 6, 12, and 13. Conference titles 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 20, 23. So they just have 3 championships, but they did win back-to-back 12 and 13.
Okay.
They ain't winning this year.
I know they're not going to win this year.
I just don't know that they have heart to get back in this. They don't have the heart to do what we had to do in 16. Coming back from 3-1 is not easy in any sport, but especially in basketball, when I feel home field, home court, home pitch advantage is bigger in basketball than any other sport because of how enclosed that environment is,
Mhm.
the arenas are, how close the fans are to the action and the players. And so I think while the Nuggets themselves may be like watching paint dry, their fans are pretty loud and proud. So I
Yeah.
think it would be
Yeah.
very difficult. Miami's going to have to win 2 in Denver. Very difficult to do.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. But I just wanted it to be a good series. That's all. Like, if it went to game 7, like, I'd be super excited about that. I just want it to be a good series. But remember, I wrote sweep, and that aged really badly. I gave it game 1 to see, I was trying to gauge some things and figure a little,
If they win
figure some
tonight,
things
it'll be
out.
4-1. It's almost a sweep. You just missed
Yeah,
one little spot.
exactly. It'd be a gentleman's sweep. So I'm like,
You wanted to
I'm
get
very close.
home so you could win at home.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm very close. I'm right there. So we're going to go ahead and take another break, and we're going to talk a little bit of football. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. I am here with my girl, Cleveland Kate, and we are talking some sports. We just talked about the Guardians. We just talked about the NBA Finals. And we are now going to talk about the Cleveland Browns and what is going on with this team. So just completed OTAs, correct?
Correct.
All right. And training camp is going to start soon. So, Kate, right now there is no football going on, just football news. How are you feeling? Because remember when football ends in the beginning of February, it's like a 4-month break and then it starts again. So, you're not dealing with football, being gone that long.
You're not, but it's really June, right? Because as soon as the season ends in February, I'm getting ready for the draft. And then I got the combine, and then I got the draft and free agency and all this stuff going on. And then training camp and OTAs, and things are moving right along. And then you get to now, and there's nothing.
But there is something. There's still a lot of news, OTAs, and then training camp is coming. So,
Yeah.
but this
So
is the
it's just
thing.
it's different. It's weird this year with Joe Thomas getting into the Hall of Fame and the Browns playing the Jets in the Hall of Fame game. The Browns and Jets only get 2 preseason games because they're playing in that one. So instead of 3 games, you've only got 2 to figure out what you're doing and make your cuts. So hopefully the coaching staff is using training camp and these OTAs and these workouts to really make a lot more decisions than some of these bubble guys that might use that third preseason game to show up and show out and make a spot on the team aren't going to have that opportunity. So they better be playing for their jobs every day that they're in camp. I'm worried about our wide receiver situation. I'm worried about who's going to be number 2 behind Amari. Is it DPJ? Is it somebody that we don't even have yet? I don't know. To answer George's question about DeAndre Hopkins, he had 64 receptions last year for 700 yards, which sounds terrible, but he only played 9 games because of the injury. So you double that up, that's 1,400 yards. You know what I mean? If he'd have played a whole season, he's still got it. Would I love to have him here? Yes, I would love to have him here. I don't even know if I care what the price tag would be to get him. Like, I'd overpay him. Ultimately, the question is, does Deshaun want him here? And do he and Deshaun have any kind of a personal relationship? Do they get along? Do they not get along? Do they have any history that I need to know about from when they've played together and when they've played against each other and stuff in the league? Because ultimately, that's all that matters, right? Is Deshaun going to be comfortable throwing the ball to DeAndre? Because then I'll just call him DE2, and we'll do a DE and a number 2 and make sure it's with logos, and they'll be our big thing for next year. I would love to have him here. I love DeAndre Hopkins.
Well,
it's the biggest area of concern for me on this team. I love that Jim Schwartz is kicking our defense over to a 4-3. I love that the front office let him have his way in free agency and with draft picks. I love what he's been doing with his defense so far. I'm not worried about defense. Not even a little bit. I'm not worried about my running game. I'm not worried about my offensive line. Somebody's got to catch the ball because Nick Chubb cannot carry this team the way it's built to victory because you've got to mix it up. Defenses will find a way to stop him. If you can't spread the ball out, if you don't have a deep threat, if you don't have any kind of a run game to get Deshaun out of trouble, then all they're going to do is put 10 in the box and stop Nick Chubb and you're done. We have got to be able to throw the ball. And that I don't have a good feeling about what I saw from Deshaun Watson last year. And I'm hoping it was a whole lot of rust and a whole lot of the 10-game suspension and maybe having the end of last year and all of this offseason and now this season coming up, we'll have him ready to go week 1. But the vote has not in yet for me. I'm still counting ballots on Deshaun. And if DeAndre would help him and he's willing to come here and they can afford him, go get him. I know they've done some cap restructuring with what's his name? Jared that tore his Achilles. They were able to rework his contract. They freed up some salary cap. I mean, we're really not in trouble from a salary cap perspective. They can afford DeAndre. They just have to commit to it.
Did you hear anything about DeAndre Hopkins not being a good locker room guy, though?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I don't know where I heard that at, but
I have
that's
not.
one of the things that I heard.
He has been around a long time. He has played, he's been around 10 years. For the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, first 9, 10 years of his career, he played every game. Last year, he only played 9. The year before, he played 10. I would be more worried about injuries than any locker room issues. He had 2 fumbles last year, which I, again, blame on the injuries. His rushing skills aren't great. He can't throw a ball, but he doesn't have to, right? He just has to catch. We don't need to have these gadget plays with all these people throwing balls. It's just going to depend on how he and Deshaun will work together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to have somebody like him. I'd like to be able to have somebody that can break a defense open and for, different options for Deshaun Watson to be able to get that ball to because, unfortunately, we didn't have those options, for Jacoby Brissett. And, if we did, this team probably could have did a little bit better last year. Also, Jacoby Brissett was no, world beat or anything like that. But, he put this team in a position to win. But, the thing is, he couldn't come from behind and get the victories that way. And that's because, he threw interceptions and stuff like that. DeAndre Hopkins looks to me like a receiver who go up and battle for those balls and win the 50-50 balls. So,
if he's healthy, He played with Deshaun in 2017, 18, 19, and then technically 20 in Houston. Or in 20, he went to Arizona. In Houston, 17, 18, 19, he had 1,400 yards, 1,600 yards, and 1,200 yards. So clearly Deshaun knows how to throw a ball to him.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still have that chemistry? Did they have any beef when he was there that might come back up here?
Probably not.
I wouldn't think so. I don't know what he knew about what was going on. Frankly, I don't care. That is no longer my problem. We have moved on.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the past. Where's Rafiki? I need to get my bat. That's in the
past. What do we think about the new Browns logo? I have not seen it yet.
Here, go Google it. Here is my problem with the new Browns logo. I don't care. A fierce-looking dog on my uniform and on TV is not going to get me yards or touchdowns. I feel like this is, oh, the team's playing really badly. Don't look at that. Look over here at our new uniforms and our cheerleaders, and now we have a dog.
We have cheerleaders now?
I feel like it's just distracting me from the fact that this team may not be good. I don't care about the dog. It is a fierce dog. I have no complaints with the dog. But I'm more worried about on the field, what are we going to do? Did you find it?
I did.
It's like a bulldog looking thing.
I did. So
I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't think it matters if we can't play the game. Now, they try to put that logo on a helmet, and there's going to be an issue because I am not having a football helmet with anything on it. That orange helmet all by itself is iconic. Leave it alone. I have been in foreign countries in Europe and in the Caribbean, and they have seen my football helmet tattoo, and they knew that was the Browns.
It looks like a dog on it.
Just because we drafted half of Georgia don't mean, oh, wait, that wasn't us. That was a different team. I know Nick Chubb is a Bulldog. You know what? Get me to the Super Bowl, Nick Chubb, and you want the Georgia Bulldog on my helmet? I will do it myself.
Remember Big Dog in the Dog Pound?
Don't embarrass me with that memory.
That's what that logo looks like. Big Dog.
Exactly what it looks like.
So I'm like, yeah, we don't care about a logo. Also, we don't care about.
Like I said, it's cool. It is what it is. It's cool
as well.
But it's not going to get me touchdowns. It's not going to win me games. It's not going to win me a division. It's not going to get me to the playoffs.
Nobody cares about new uniforms. I do like the brown on brown one, so I don't care what anybody says. Those are my favorite uniforms.
I like the brown on orange pants, but I like the brown jerseys more than anything. So I need brown jerseys. I don't care what pants you put on. Put on whatever pants you want. Don't wear.
Do they really even wear brown and
brown jersey, orange pants, brown jersey, brown pants?
Do they ever wear brown pants with white jerseys? Have they worn yet that? Have they worn brown pants with orange jerseys yet?
No.
You know,
that I know of. They look like the Denver Broncos because when they wear the orange jerseys, they wear the white pants, and it's very confusing.
Yeah, I think they haven't did a full orange on orange because of colorblind people.
Then they look like the Syracuse Orange men.
Yeah, I think that might be the reason why they haven't did the orange on orange is because it'd be bad for
the brown on brown is the only monochrome I like. Everything else, I want me a mix and match. I want a brown and orange combination.
I want a brown shirt, orange pants.
Yeah. I have my Brian Sipe photo. Brown shirt, orange pants.
Yeah, I want to see that. But yeah, our uniforms are ugly, and I feel like we need to come up with something different eventually. But Kate, that's our time.
We gotta go. Tell Willie if he calls you that I twerked and he missed it.
I'll let Willie know we miss Willie today, but I enjoyed being with you nevertheless. So
I enjoyed being with you too, bro.
Yeah, for Cleveland Kate, for Rachel Hill, you've been listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we are out of here.
Oof, oof.